the chat that we've just had about what I call citizen science is a topic that's also close to my heart. I'm working with those kind of ideas as well, but I think one thing that we should think about is that there are big, with this advent of big data, there are also kind of big platforms that are trying to pull those data together, things like Eye on Earth and stuff like that, which are trying to act as kind of global repositories for data. They've got some stuff on water quality in there, air quality, stuff like that. And I think that the great thing is about collecting all of these data is one brilliant thing, but we need to pull it all together into one place. So I think that's something that we should think about as we're collecting those data, is making those data freely available for people in an area where you can pull lots of different data sets. So that would be useful. That'll be my comments on that last talk. I guess this is the third part of my trilogy. So we've had, I guess maybe Lord of the Rings or something like that. We've had the two bad bits, and now we're going to the beautiful solution to everything. So, there we go. So I'm just going to talk about the ICES working group on recreational fishing surveys. I'm going to try and shoot through this at a bit of a speed because I've mentioned quite a lot of it during the week, and quite a lot of the stuff has come up in other people's talks. So thanks to Aero for giving our definition, and thanks to Kino for compiling information and producing papers at the WGRFS. I should also say that my co-chair, Harry Strelu, is based in the Tunen Institute and is a very active researcher and would have enjoyed this conference greatly. I just make the point that we've got web pages as well, so you can get access to all of the reports through those web pages. So, what am I going to talk about? Well, I'm just going to say something about the challenges that we have with recreational fishing and recreational fishing data in general. Then talk a little bit about the WGRFS backgrounds, the definitions, objectives, who goes to it, and what's in our reports, because I'm sure you're all sick of being told that there's a 300-page report out there and there's something in there that's useful for you. So hopefully we're trying to pare that down a bit and make it easy for you guys to find the information you need. So the challenges that we face in recreational is that surveys are not easy to do. It's a disparate bunch of people, it's expensive. There are many different survey methods, all of which have their own pros and cons. It's very difficult to get representative samples, as we've heard from the huge amount of work that the Americans put into designing their programs. It's difficult to compare data from different places, collected in different ways, and there are also lots of issues with quality in terms of the bias that you might have. We've had a lot about avidity bias in the internet-based data collection, and also the precision. Quite often people they give you an estimate, but they don't give you the confidence limits around those estimates. So it can lead you to a false idea of how good your estimates are. If your confidence limits run from 0 to a very big number, then you don't actually know that much about the system. We've also got limited evidence out there on the number of recreational anglers, how much they fish, what they catch, what the value is, what the other benefits are, what happens to these fish when we chuck back. We release alive, and also the extent of the data in terms of what modes do we cover, how long the time series. That's very important when you start to think about stock assessment, and what's the spatial coverage as well. And we're moving towards a kind of co-management of recreational and commercial species. It's probably heresy to say this in front of this audience, but in the sense of a stock assessment, the recreational angler is just another métier in the assessment. Whether in the same way that you might have beam trawls or otter trawls or whatever. You know, it's just a different fleet. It's just a different way of exploiting that resource. So those are the challenges that we have. So what about the WGRFS? Where did it come from? Well, I've got an acronym-centric slide here, but I'll try and take you through it. We had a lot of pilot studies, small studies of recreational sea angling that indicated that catches by recreational fishers could be significant. There was evidence from other countries of positive things that you could do in terms of management, which would increase the economic value of the industry. There was European requirements to collect data. The European Commission realised these things and said, okay, well, you need to go out and collect data, and that started in around 2002 under what is called the data collection framework, and also under what's called the control regulations that cover charter boats. And then there was the sampling methods. You know, we recognised that it was a difficult thing to do to get good data on these things. So there was a workshop on sampling methods in recreational fisheries, not a small blue person, but just a Smurf. And all of these things came together, and we formed the planning group on recreational fishing, and then that morphed into a working group as the need for recommendations came over time. So the definition of recreational fishing, well, there are a lot of definitions out there. This was one of the things that we thought quite long and hard about, is how do we define what we cover. And we talked a lot about angling and fishing, and quite often we use the terms interchangeably, but we have to be aware that there are very different meanings of those terms. And it's not just this term as well. In this area there's a huge amount of terminology. So one place which is quite useful in the 2013 report, there's a glossary of terms that we've come up with. We've nicked definitions from places, we've used definitions, we've adapted definitions, made up our own stuff that we think describes a lot of the terminology. So if you're confused about what we're talking about, then this is a place to go. It's a useful thing. So what are the objectives? Well, we've heard a lot about data, and we need data, and we need to pull together data. Well, that's what this is all about. It's all about pulling together data and understanding from all of the individual member states, so that we have that in one place. So we're trying to compile 3 sets of information: catch and release, post-release survival, and the value side of things, the socioeconomic data. And trying to do that on a yearly basis, so every time there's a new survey that comes up, that's captured. There's also information about the survey design, how we've collected that, what the issues are with it as well. We also talk quite a lot about survey design and how you should do surveys, what the best methodologies are, how you get statistically representative samples, and other such interesting topics which occupy quite a lot of our life. The other side of things is quality. There's a lot of stuff out there, but how good quality is it? So we're trying to think about the quality in terms of the precision and the biases that you might have. We add to, or we input into the potential EU requirements for the future. We talk about methods for including these data in stock assessments. Last year, for the first time, we had recreational fishing in one of the stock assessments. It was in the Baltic Sea pod. So there's now prior knowledge. We also tried to include it in the BAS assessment, but there wasn't enough data there to do it. And we're very keen on making sure that we work with the angling community. So we talk a lot about and share experience across the group on how we engage with stakeholders. So who goes to this? Well, there's an expert group in theory, we should have a representative, at least one representative from every single member state within Europe. Some without coastline probably wouldn't care too much about this, but so what we tend to get is about 20 scientists from 16 different countries. It's multidisciplinary. We cover statistics, fisheries biology, economics and social science. You have to be nominated by your country, by your national country representative to come along, or you can be an invited expert. So we have special sessions on things, and this year we've got Kieran coming along from Norway as an invited expert to talk about catch and release mortality. We've got Sabrina coming along from NOAA along with Dave Sabrina will be talking about economics, and Dave talks a lot about survey design. And these are the people in your region that basically that represent your countries. So if you have questions about it, if you want to push stuff into the WGRFS, then these are the people you need to talk to. So what about the reports? I told you that we've got some very long reports out there, but I guess what I've tried to do here is to summarise what's in those reports and where you might go to get stuff. So in 2010 there's a really good review of different survey methods, how we do recreational surveys, bias, precision, all of that kind of side of things. Quite techy, but a good summary of that information. In 2012 we talked a lot about catch and release, and Kino's paper came out of it there, the ICES Journal of Marine Science, and we talked quite a bit about how we work with stakeholders, and Jan Capel came along and talked about that. In 2013 we tried to make sure that we had the latest catch estimates. We made some recommendations about what we should be doing at the European level. We had the glossary, the quality tool, and we talked about risk assessment. And going forwards in this year, we should have updated catch estimates, qualities, economics, European requirements, again, survivorship and stock assessment. So, 5 reasons for you to go there. It's my sales pitch. So, you can understand what's being collected at the European level and how it's being used. You can find your latest national estimates, or in terms of catch at the moment, but hopefully in terms of value and survival going forwards. You can think about how you maximise the utility of what you're collecting and the value of that. You can understand the terminology, and you can look at shared experiences of working with stakeholders. So now for the exam question. If I wanted to find out how much cod did anglers take from the Baltic Sea and from Denmark, and how many did they release in 2011? Anyone got any suggestions?
10 million.
How about in weight? What do you think in weight? Weight for take and numbers for release. Anyone got any thoughts?
200 tons.
Keep going. Keep going. And it's a lot more than that. How about
that's a Western stock?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And how about for the number of fish that Danish anglers released the number of cod that Danish anglers released?
8 million.
10,000.
Somewhere between those two. So there you go. Harvest 765.5 tons. 761,749. Exactly. Were released. And those estimates came from a joint kind of telephone and internet survey.
What's your margin there around?
I can tell you. But I can't tell you right now, but I can look and tell you. In fact, Christian might be able to tell you.
Not at present, no.
I can also look into it.
I think all I'm trying to do is demonstrate a point here, is that if you want to get that information, it's there, it's available by stock, and you can go and find it quite
I'd like
easily.
to add to your talk.
Yes.
I've been to, as a representative for the Dutch, I've been to the meeting 2012. It's very informative. I can recommend anyone to go. do need a little bit of background and do a little bit of background research on fishery services and statistics, but it's really nice going there just to meet the people. I've met Kieran there as well, and it's really great. Go if you can, just go.
So, thanks for your attention. And there's Harry, myself, with some fish, and there's our website. So thank you very much.